Okay, so this is the Watch 4 Lite, and I've been using it for more than a week now. And in this video, I just want to tell you everything you need to know about the watch. But before I start doing that, there's a story that this watch reminds me about, which I want to tell you about before I actually start talking about the watch. Okay, so when I was in school, the last time I was in school was around 5 years ago. So I don't know if they still tell this story in schools, but it should be a story that everybody that is in school should know about. Anyway, so before exams or tests, they will always say that someone was copying answers from someone else and they ended up copying the person's name and the person's examination number. So this watch reminds me of that story a lot. I'm going to explain why. Anyway, so the Watch 4 Lite is supposed to be like a lower version of the Watch 4 Plus. I have the Watch 4 Plus right here. Yeah, so this is it. So it's supposed to be like a different but similar version of the Watch 4 Plus, and it's supposed to have its own unique things that you'll set it aside from the Watch 4 Plus, which it does. But when it comes to the functionality of this watch as well as the Watch 4 Lite, I feel like what happened was they just copied everything from here and pasted it here. Now, you may be wondering how this is connected to the story that I talked about earlier, like the story about somebody copying the name and the examination number. How is it related to the Watch 4 Lite and the Watch 4 Plus? Well, if you saw my review for the Watch 4 Plus, you will know that there is an issue with the watch. Let me just bring it over here. You know that this watch has one issue, which I talked about in the video. The funny thing is that the Watch 4 Lite also has the same issue. And it's not just that. The Watch 4 Lite copied this issue and added another one on top of it. Which, I mean, the Watch 4 Lite is supposed to have its own separate issues, like its different issues. And, you know, this watch, the Watch 4 Plus, was released before the Watch 4 Lite. So if, you know, if they had maybe heard from people a lot, they would know that, okay, this watch has a feature or a, should I say a bug that they would have fixed with this one. But that did not happen. Instead of that, it copied the issue and then it added another issue, which I'll be talking about in this video. I will show you everything. Okay, so that's basically what I want you guys to know at the start of this video, so you know what to expect. So when it comes to design, the Watch 4 Lite is very similar to other Oraimo wristwatches. I'm just trying to take it off. So on the right side, you have the power button, and if you had seen the unboxing video that I made, you would know that I said that the power button looks like it can control the watch, but I'm a bit disappointed that it doesn't. I know I'm wrong, but I don't think I'll ever stop doing predictions like this, so just expect more. But like I said, I'm a bit disappointed because this power button was designed in a way that looks like it should be able to control the watch. Now, I'm not going to dive deep in that because there are other things to talk about in this video, but yeah, I'm a bit disappointed that you cannot control the watch using the power button. Alright, so right below the power button is the microphone, and you can use the microphone for making phone calls, like normal phone calls. You can't make WhatsApp calls, any kind of internet calls, you can't make them. You can only make normal phone calls. Alright, so over on the left, you get the speaker, which is used for making phone calls. And you can also use this watch to listen to music from your phone, like to play the audio that comes from your phone. I'll talk about that later on. And this watch is also IP68, which means it is water and dust resistant. I've made some videos, 2 videos now, testing Oraimo watches to see if they're water and dust resistant. And so far, they passed the test. So if you guys want to see that with this watch, let me know so that I can make a full video testing the water resistance of the watch. At this point, I have used 6 Oraimo wristwatches, and all of them, when you check their buckles, they are always plastic. But this one comes with a metal buckle. And to be honest, it took a while for me to get used to wearing this watch because not only is the metal buckle a bit uncomfortable for me, well, the metal buckle is also very slim. So that means that if you wear the watch very tight, it's going to press on your skin and it's going to make you feel like the watch is pinching you from time to time. Like you can see the other Oraimo wristwatches, all of them over here have plastic buckles. And to be honest, they are very comfortable to wear. Even on the website, you can see that the Watch 4 Lite shows a plastic buckle. But if you get it, you'll see that it is not plastic, it is metal. So in most cases, I don't wear the watch too tight. And yeah, this is just from my experience, so it may be different for you. If you are used to wearing wristwatches that have a metal buckle, then fine, this is going to work well for you. But the good thing is that on the website, you can get replacement wristbands, and this one is also detachable. So that means that you can order a new set of wristbands and then you can attach it to the watch and you should be fine. I just hope that this is not going to be the new normal where they'll create wristwatches with terrible wristbands and just make extra sales from people buying more wristbands. I just hope that's not the case. But yeah, besides the wristband issue and the power button issue, the watch has a very nice design. It is basically like every other Oraimo watch. The Watch 4 Lite comes with a 1.83-inch TFT display, and overall I think it is a decent display. Under direct sunlight, the watch is usable, but you have to increase the brightness to the highest level, because if the brightness is low, you hardly be able to see it under direct sunlight. And the thing is that Oraimo has not started making watches with auto display. Not auto display, auto brightness. So I would recommend that before you even leave the house, you should just turn up the brightness to the highest level. If not, when you go outside, it's going to be hard for you to even use the watch. Now on the watch, the screen is very small and the bezels are very thick, and I think it all comes down to personal preference. If you like watches with small screens, then you will like this one. But personally, I don't like watches with small screens. Like the first watches I used, like the first Oraimo wristwatches that I used, they came with small screens, so I thought that was normal. But after I started using like the Watch ES2 and the Watch 4 Plus, which is like my go-to watch at this point, well, I don't like small screens anymore. So this one, you can already tell that I don't like this screen. But like I said, it's personal preference. If you like small screens, then when it comes to screens, this watch is okay. When you are playing with the screen, it actually animates like pages. So like if you are trying to go back, when you want to go back, you swipe to the right. You see the page also swiping as you are swiping. So that will give you like an idea of what is coming before you even completely swipe. It's something you have to try to understand what I mean. But if you try it like on the Watch 3 Pro, that feature does not exist. It's something I like about the watch. The screen on the Watch 4 Plus is very responsive. Ever since I started using it, like I've only accidentally tapped something once, and that's because I was rushing while I was like interacting with the screen. Overall, it's a very responsive screen. I think the only thing that I have an issue with is that notification texts, at least for WhatsApp, because I've only tested it with WhatsApp, the notification texts are very, very tiny. But besides that, nice screen. I'm not going to say it is better than that of the Watch 4 Plus, but it is decent. The features on the Watch 4 Lite are what you expect from most Oraimo wristwatches. It will help you out with notifications, phone calls, and some health and exercise features. Now, I'm not someone that is into all this health and fitness stuff, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. But what I'll say is that all the features you get here are basically what you get on the Watch 4 Lite as well. This is the Watch 4 Plus, in case you didn't know. Like if you press the power button on the Watch 4 Lite 3 times, it's going to call somebody that you have set as an emergency contact. And it also has that green button that can always keep the countdown, so you don't have to wait for the watch to count down before you can call the person. There's also the raise to wake feature. I normally don't like using it because I don't want the watch to accidentally light up whenever I raise up my hand. Maybe I just want to lift up my hand to do something else and the watch lights up. So that's why I don't like using the feature. But some people want to know if the feature is here. So yeah, the feature is here. There's also the cover to turn off the screen feature, and it is very accurate on this watch. I don't have issues. Whenever I just want to cover the watch to turn it off, it does that. I don't have to do it twice. I think the watch that gave me an issue with that was the Watch 2 Pro. There's also the double tap to wake feature, but this one only works if you recently turned off the watch. I think I've made an example before. Like the reason why this should be here, like this double tap to wake feature, is maybe you turn on the watch and you forgot to check the time, which is why you turned on the watch. Then you can just double tap quickly to see the time, and that's it. So yeah, I like the feature actually. So about the exam story that I talked about in the beginning of this video. Well, if you saw the review I made for the Watch 4 Plus, you will know that the Watch 4 Plus has this issue where the Bluetooth disconnects randomly, but everything else works except like controlling music using the watch. Well, like I said, when this guy was copying from this guy, it also copied that problem. I've made a video demonstrating it, so yeah, just watch it to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so here we are. This is the Watch 4 Lite and this is the Watch 4 Plus. So if you guys saw the review for the Watch 4 Plus, you would know what I'm about to talk about. But if you haven't, well, I'll recommend you watch the review for this watch. And you'll notice that the same issue that the watch has is what the Watch 4 Lite also has. So let me break it down. So as you can see, this indicator means that, oh, I just long pressed the screen. Let me switch back to, okay, this indicator over here just shows that the watch is not connected to the phone. You can see here the indicator is red, which means that the watch is not connected via Bluetooth to my phone. And you can see that when it comes to Bluetooth, it is connected to the Watch 4 Lite. So this is the same thing that happened with the Watch 4 Plus, as I've said. So the only thing that's like doesn't work when this disconnect happens is that I can't control music using the watch. So I'm currently listening to music, but it is not showing anything about music here. I'm pressing play, but the music is not playing. You can see I'm listening to music. I'm listening to this Kendrick Lamar song, and it's not playing here. So the only way this can be fixed is by just going to the Oraimo app, and you just wait for the watch to reconnect. And after it is done reconnecting, you can see that it even picked one of the songs that I was listening to. This was the song I was listening to before the Kendrick song started playing. But anyways, you can see now that the icon has changed, and this now is green. So yeah, this is the only issue that you face from time to time while using the watch. Like I said, phone calls will work. You don't need to worry about phone calls. It's only going to affect the music playing part. So now if I press play, you can hear that it is playing and it has updated the song that I'm listening to. That is just the issue that the Watch 4 Lite as well as the Watch 4 Plus has. Okay, let the video continue. If you're enjoying the video so far, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm still trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and yeah, I'm getting there. So please subscribe to the channel, and thank you very much for subscribing. Okay, like I said, this guy did not just copy the answers from this guy, like from the Watch 4 Plus. It also has its own problem, which I'll be talking about very soon. But before I do that, I didn't talk about the sensors when I was talking about the design of the watch. So as for the sensors, they work when they are supposed to. Like, I've reviewed the watch before. I don't really remember the watch. That watch, anywhere I keep the watch, the sensors are always lighting up. But with the Watch 4 Plus, the sensors do not randomly work. The only time they work is when they are attached to your wrist, when the watch detects that it is attached to your wrist. And it is very bright. I think if I just swipe it this way, it's going to start working. Yeah, it is working. So it feels like it has been attached to a wrist, so it is now blinking. When you're using this watch for like measuring your heart rate, because it is always working, you're going to see that the watch is not just like calculating before it shows you your heart rate. You're going to see your heart rate going up and down as the watch calculates. So because the sensors are always working, it is giving you real-time results. You don't have to wait for like 30 seconds before you can see your heart rate. It's always going to be showing you as it goes up and down, which is a nice feature about the watch. And that is the only thing I'll talk about when it comes to like the health and the exercise feature of this watch. Besides that, I don't know anything else to talk about when it comes to that aspect. So when it comes to phone calls and notifications, what I can say is that the vibration on the watch is very good. You will not miss like your notifications or phone calls when this watch vibrates on your hand. And while you won't miss the phone calls or vibrations, one thing I will say is that to clear your notifications is a pain, because you have to scroll until you get to the last notification before you be able to clear all the notifications, which is one of the reasons why I don't use the watches. Like all the watches, I don't normally use them for receiving like notifications. I normally just use them for receiving phone calls, because when I'm outdoors, I've noticed that I don't feel my phone when it vibrates in my pocket, but as soon as the watch starts to vibrate, I always notice it. So besides the issue of clearing out notifications, well, I think that in terms of that aspect, vibration and notifications, it is a very decent watch. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you about the second issue of the Watch 4 Lite, and it is phone calls. And instead of just telling you, it's best I just show you. So I made a demo, like a video, to show you guys how the watch, like how good it is when it comes to phone calls. So yeah, let the video play. Okay, I'm currently making this phone call using the Watch 4 Lite. And I am currently in a very quiet room. It's late at night and everywhere is very quiet. And one thing I want to say is that this audio has not been edited in any way. Normally when I make videos, I edit the audio to make my voice sound clearer. But this time, for this demo, I am not like doing anything to the audio. What you are hearing is what you get. So what I've noticed is that using this watch to make phone calls makes my voice very, very low. So this is what the watch sounds like. Now I'm going to switch to my phone so that you can hear the difference. Okay, so I have switched to my phone, and by now I believe that the voice should be a lot clearer compared to height is when I'm using the watch. So this is the phone. Now I'm going to switch back to the watch so you can hear the difference again. Okay, so it's back to the watch now, and yeah, you should be hearing the difference by now. So, well, I don't know, maybe I got a defective one, or maybe this is just how it is for all the Watch 4 Lite watches. You guys can let me know in the comments. So like I said, this is the second issue of the Oraimo Watch 4 Lite. Yes, you can use it to make phone calls, but from my experience, using this watch to make phone calls is not ideal. I don't know if they tried something new in terms of the microphone, but if they did, then honestly, I don't think it worked well. So maybe in the future, they'll make like improvements. So personally, I will not be using this watch for making phone calls. Alright, so other features you get with the Watch 4 Lite are the flashlight feature. So you can always use the watch as a flashlight, maybe in the night. You also have the security feature where you can create a pin for this watch so that if you just drop it on the table and anyone picks up the watch, they'll have to enter your code, like your pin code, before they can access the watch. There's also the Bluetooth disconnect notification, which I like a lot. You have to activate it from the app. I wish it was on by default. But anyways, it's just a good way to know when maybe you are too far away from your phone, or maybe you're having Bluetooth issues and the watch disconnects from time to time. There's also the Find Watch or Find Phone feature, and I tested it and it works. The Watch 4 Lite can also capture sounds from your phone. I believe I mentioned that earlier. And it's not just music, it's basically any sound that comes out from your phone. If you just activate that option, then any sound that comes from your phone is going to be played by the watch. It's basically like you have turned the watch to Bluetooth speakers. Yeah, something like that. So those are basically all the features that I just wanted to mention in this video. There are more features, but these are the ones that I find interesting and that I look for in most Oraimo wristwatches. So when it comes to battery life on the Oraimo Watch 4 Lite, I will say that the battery is also decent. To test how good the battery is, one day I disconnected the watch from the charger at 8:45 a.m. It was at 100%, and I used it moderately throughout the day until 8:45 or 8:50 p.m. and when I checked the watch, it was at 84%. So I did not charge it that night. I waited until the next day at 9 p.m. or 9, let me just check. Okay, 9:45 p.m. and when I checked, it was at 64%. So that means that after 24 hours of moderate use, I was only using it to make phone calls. I used it to listen to audio for a bit, not for too long. But after 24 hours, the watch lost 36%, which is decent. But I don't think that this watch can do 7 days on one charge, unless you use maybe battery saver mode, which I have never tested before. And I don't know anything about that. So maybe if you use that, like that battery saver option, then you'll be able to use the watch for 7 days. But with the way I'm saying the watch, maybe 3-4 days tops without charging the watch at all. So at the time of this video, the Watch 4 Lite costs around 22,000 naira. And the funny thing is that the Watch 4 Plus was around that same price a few weeks ago, but they recently changed it, and now the Watch 4 Plus is around 27,000 naira. Now, from all what I've said, honestly, I will not recommend the Watch 4 Lite, because especially for that phone call issue, you can't use this watch to make phone call and expect people to hear you very well. So for that reason, I would say just go for the Watch 4 Plus instead. Unless you are someone that likes watches with small screens, then I would say maybe go for the Watch 3 Pro. It is like my favorite watch when it comes to small screens, but I don't like using watches with small screens anymore. So the Watch 4 Plus is my go-to watch. Like anytime people ask me for the watch to buy, I always say get the Watch 4 Plus until something better comes along, because that Bluetooth issue where the watch disconnects, even after disconnecting it still works, but that issue is still something that I wish that the Watch 4 Plus did not have. But even with that, I still prefer the watch over other watches. So yeah, in my own opinion, I think this is not the ideal watch for me. So I will not recommend it to anyone else. And another issue is that if you want to go for the Watch 3 Pro, it is currently out of stock. So maybe you have to wait, or like I said, just go for the Watch 4 Plus. Okay, so that's basically all I have to say in this video. I hope I covered everything you guys are interested in knowing. If not, if you have questions, just ask me in the comments and I'll try to respond as soon as I can. All right, thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and bye bye.